I have noticed one of the aspects of propaganda. You know, I like to talk about propaganda. I'm also accused of doing that, but it is wrong. These accusations are wrong. I simply talk about what I believe. But one of the aspects of propaganda, which I don't like, because I like journalism. Wait for it. I'm going to the aspect. I like journalism. I like reporting the truth. I do understand sometimes certain speeches that are made to motivate people. Those also fall in the category of propaganda, and so they are not made to inform. They are made more either to boost morale or, I mean, several other reasons. But you can immediately see those. Those are clearly, when you see them, I mean, let's take the example of American and Soviet propaganda in the Cold War. When you see these billboards and these paintings and these slogans, you immediately, I mean, you had to be very stupid if you didn't know that was propaganda. In the Portuguese dictatorship times, where the propaganda depicted the neat, clean, organized, and very high values, moral values country. I mean, the people that lived here, they knew it was bullshit, right? It had to be, of course, someone didn't, but those were the ones that were being hidden from that poster. The ones without no shoes and barely had anything to eat and couldn't read or write, had to work from the age that they were able to do anything, like 5, 6. Anyway, but today this topic came to my mind for the reason that I watched YouTubers and I follow the geopolitical matters on YouTube as well, despite of reading the news and reading Telegram channels or whatever. So I follow those, and I follow pro-Ukrainian channels, pro-Russian channels that I consider very neutral, more informative. Although some pro-Russian channels are quite informative, I must confess. And I know what some of you might think, but I already talked about this in the past. I already compared the quality of both propagandas, and I mean the childish stories that are told in some Western outlets are just too much. Not even just YouTube channels, even mainstream, especially mainstream. But there was this one, and there are some YouTubers that are Russian, but they propagate the anti-Russian government narrative, and sometimes you can see that they are anti-Russian because they don't like things. They don't like the ways of the Russian people. Many times you can notice that criticism on their comments, and I do know the faces. I'm not gonna say the names. I'm just gonna give you some hints. One of the guys, it's a very bulky guy. Sometimes he's drinking he was to drink his tea while he was talking doomsday of Russia. And the other guy it's this young guy, long hair, came from Shelbyansk, and he currently lives in Portugal. And this guy was making this video, he posted it yesterday or something, about the conflicts between YouTube, Google, and the Russian government. And it's interesting how you don't even notice, but during his video he keeps talking about sanctions and censorship. So whenever he talks about Russia does censorship. Whenever he talks about Google and YouTube, they apply sanctions. Can you see the difference here? It's the same as invasion and incursion. It's the same as people died in the strike or people were killed by Israeli forces. It's the same. People died in an Israeli strike or people killed by Israeli forces. It's these little nuances that make very sophisticated propaganda nowadays. And I think it's most effective because you don't even notice you're being propagandized. So this guy kept talking about how Russia was starting to put a strain on YouTube, and then YouTube retaliated. Because if you listen to of course he doesn't say it objectively, but that's what you take out of that video. Because he says this, yeah, he goes to, oh, Russia has slowed down YouTube because YouTube has demonetized all Russian-based YouTubers. So first of all, I don't know, because of Russia's government actions, YouTube, Google, whatever, decided to demonetize every Russian-based YouTuber. How very democratic. So, but this he refers to as sanctions. And when Russia is trying to condition YouTube, it's censorship. Look, I know I'm on YouTube. I'm a critic of YouTube. I have already had one video taken which you had no graphic things, no, it was just a conversation between two persons, and they say I went through their guidelines, violation of guidelines, and yeah, of course that's one of those guidelines. You cannot reproduce material which is considered to be made by already censored YouTuber. But what is that? It's censorship. There is no other word for it. So the video in question I told you about, it was an interview that the author of the former YouTube channel Earl Grey, Mike Jones, an interview he did to me along the Moskva River in Moscow. We were walking and talking, and he wanted to know my reasons and my expectations about Russia. This kind of talk was nothing else. YouTube simply removed this video. So this is refined censorship. It's like you're almost going back to the old days, where you had these guys where they received the texts of the newspapers and they put a line in phrases and sentences that they don't want to see published, or they put a cross over a complete article or something, or books or whatever. But no, the West applies sanctions. Russia does censorship. And I've mentioned several channels, but they keep amounting. The numbers keep increasing. The numbers of people, channels being censored by YouTube because they don't do the talking points of the Western propaganda. And don't tell me YouTube is censoring because it's propaganda, because you are free. Last time I checked, you could do propaganda, right? It's not a crime. But it doesn't censor, for example, pro-Israeli and pro-Ukrainian propaganda. They don't censor those. They don't sanction those, right? So it's obvious now. It's obvious by now that this is a clear double standards, and that whatever they accuse their states like Russia and Venezuela, the states the empire wants to get a grip on and steal the resources, because that's basically it. It comes down to that, and enslave the people. Whatever. They will always accuse them of censorship and human rights violations and freedom violations and whatever. And it couldn't be the opposite. And so this guy, this Russian YouTuber who is based now in Portugal, I actually would enjoy having a conversation with this guy because he's in Portugal. Maybe I will text him and see if he wants to talk to me. But he's clearly doing anti-Russia propaganda, because whenever he has seen the censorship in the West as well. He sees it, but he addresses it a different way. It's when he talks about Russia, he reinforces the stereotype that is created in the West about Russia. That imagery of savagery, people they just crack down on you and they give you no chance of, you cannot even open your mouth and ta-da-da, right? So yeah, and this video, the main purpose of this video was like, I've noticed it, and I just want to share with you, because the little nuances in propaganda, because we don't even notice them. It's clear, of course. This goes in the mix with a less sophisticated propaganda, right? But whenever you have, soon as you have enough critical mass, you can throw in everything. Because even if you throw the opposite, people are already brainwashed. They're not gonna go for it. Oh no, it can't be. It doesn't compute in with the previous logic. It doesn't go that way. And it's worrisome that this conflict because Russia will eventually take down on YouTube. You can't keep. It's like a retaliation. But every time Russia retaliates, they get accused of being the aggressor. And I know what I'm about to say, it's very unpopular for some people, but yes, the Russian incursion on 2022 was a retaliation, was an answer. It was not undeliberate and unjustified brutal war of aggression. You know, these terms that I use. Russia in his brutal war of aggression. Let me talk a little bit about brutal war of aggression, brutal genocide, and I will lay it down in a few words. Israel is acting worse than Nazi Germany. There, I said it. You disagree with me? Please write in the comments why. Prove your point. Because I really try to look on both sides. I keep hearing the same sophisticated propaganda. Every debate about the issue begins with, do you condemn Hamas? What the fuck? Hamas. It's just a word. It's just a word. It's just words they put in there, and they keep repeating them. And then you got the people, not by the balls, but by the brains. People then cannot look past that. Oh yeah, Israel is doing wrong, but Hamas. We cannot allow Hamas. Hamas they have to be stopped. So yeah, it's war, but Hamas has to be stopped. And people don't look at the unjustified, brutal aggression, barbaric aggression that Israel is doing on the Palestinians. These are the words used to describe Russia in Ukraine. And believe me, it couldn't be further from the truth. So I'll leave you with that thought. I wanted to make you a request. If you know good, recommendable, that you can recommend to me, channels that are pro-Ukraine, pro-Israel, pro-US empire that you really think that they do very good quality, sophisticated propaganda, please recommend them to me in the comments. I would be very much appreciated. Because there are some days that I wake up and just want to dive in all that manure. Alright? Otherwise you cannot build your own critic and your own critical thought if you don't see both sides. And of course I see how I say it, I see flaws also on Russian outlets, and I can see when Russians also do propaganda. Of course, it's undeniable. But what do you expect? People start to create this mindset where the people they hate, they demand that they convert themselves to purity, while the people they love and they consider to be on the right side, they allow them every crime. This is the crazy mental mindset that is promoted by all this propaganda. It's sometimes it's tiresome. You get tired of it. It's really. So yeah, I hope I see you on the next one. And if you like the video, interact with it. If you don't, interact the same way, put a whole thumbs down and write whatever you want in the comments. There's no censorship if it's on me.